Here we are. Here we are. We are in the second round. We will be facing off against the Toronto Raptors. And I want to know, how confident are you? What are you thinking right now at this very moment? You ask me, Broads, how do you feel about the Raptors series? How do you feel when it comes to the Sixers going up against a squad like this? Right now, 50-50. 50-50. That's reality. I feel about 50-50. This is a coin flip. These are two solid squads going up against each other. And you need to realize, as awesome as that Nets series was when it comes to the dominance of the Sixers after Game 1, you are now facing an opponent that is extremely better. They have a guy like Kawhi Leonard, arguably the best defender in the National Basketball Association. Way more talent, deeper, and the intensity of their players are 3,000 times more than the Brooklyn Nets. But that doesn't mean you can't take away positives from that Nets series. There is growth involved, without a doubt. Brett Brown, I think, reached a new level in that series. He learned it's not just players that have to develop. Coaches develop in playoff series. I think Brett Brown, from that half-point mark in that second game where he blew up and on, he learned a lot. He learned a ton. Not just from the emotional side, but what he did defensively and what he changed in his adjustments defensively when guys were attacking J.J. Redick all game long. He made that adjustment. We were fighting through more screens. He even said that today when he was being interviewed on 97.5 The Fanatic with Mike Missinelli. He said, JJ gets attacked. His big thing was he needs to find a way to put JJ in the best position because he knows that defensively he could be a liability at times. As a whole, defensively, I thought we did better. Ben Simmons took a huge step in that Nets series. Offensively, with the aggressiveness and defensive. The team, in general, they came together at a moment of bonding. When it came to Jared Dudley in that fight, they came together. They played a lot of minutes together, too, which is something that they didn't do coming into this series. Isn't it funny where we are now compared to a lot of the fans from Game 76 to 82 and even Game 1 of the first round? Isn't it funny? This team stinks. They can't play. Where's their passion? I sat there and said, wait for the damn playoffs because there's a different switch that flips. And what happened? After Game 1, where we came in and thought it would be easy, pure domination. By the way, pretty pathetic by the Nets to come out that way after their GM, their coach, their owner all bitched and complained to the league about calls. You just got blown out. Shut up. Shut up. What an embarrassment by the Nets for them to do that. But we have to realize that this series is going to be crazy. And one quote that I thought was very important out of Brett Brown that I heard today is, we're definitely going to have to adjust. You can't play Kawhi the same way you play D'Angelo Russell. With Kawhi, he's going to see a greater level of resistance than we showed against D'Angelo. And Brett also stated that the most important thing he takes out of that Nets series is the defense. The intensity of the defense, the rotations, the effort level, the fighting through screens. There's a lot. There's a lot that he took out of defensively. And that's going to be crucial going up against the Raptors. And you have to realize this. It's tough right now to sit here and say, well, this guy's going to match up against this guy, and this guy's going to defend this guy, and that guy's going to defend that guy. There's so many different options that are going to happen, and each game is going to vary because that's what it's all about. It's about coaches making adjustments and making different looks happen because one wasn't working. So, this is my theory. If you're the Raptors and you want to take a look at what the Boston Celtics did to shut down Ben Simmons, are you going to waste someone like Kawhi Leonard to sag off of Ben Simmons? Or can you use someone else to sag off Ben Simmons and put Kawhi on someone else to defend another player? That's what I'm saying. You can't just say, oh, well, Kawhi's going to lock down Ben because he forced Ben to turn the ball over a lot. You don't know, because if they're going to sag off Ben, why would they waste the best defender in the league by sagging off when you can put him on another player? It's going to be very interesting, and a lot's going to go on Brett Brown. He's going to have to make a lot of different choices here. He's going to have to put a stamp on it and say, all right, we're going to have to change this up, and we're going to have to do this game by game, because it's just going to be an intense dogfight and battle out there. And right now I sit here and I say I flip a damn coin. 50-50. But that's not a bad spot to be, because it's not saying the Sixers aren't good enough. What this is saying is the Toronto Raptors are so solid. And you can't get too emotional game by game. We just watched the Brooklyn Nets take down the Sixers in game 1 pretty easily. All right? They kind of just took it from us. And what happened then? They lost 4 straight. It would be very awesome to win game 1. I'm not saying I don't want the Sixers to win game 1, but what I'm saying is don't overreact to one game. If you take one of 2 in Toronto to start this bad boy off, whether it's game 1 or game 2, you put yourself in a great position. That's the game plan. But if we end up losing game 1, don't sit there and cry and say it's all over. Game 1 is a feel-out game. And it looks like it's going to be Saturday. It just depends if it's 7:30 or 8 o'clock based off of if there's a 7 game in that Nuggets-San Antonio series. Which, the way that's going, who knows? It might be. It might be. I'm very, very intrigued with this. What scares me is the depth. What scares me are some of their players that I sit there and say, okay, well, who's going to guard him? Right? Siakam's playing out of his damn mind. Marc Gasol provided something to this team when he got traded there. Van Vliet coming off the bench. We all know about Kawhi Leonard and how he's a superstar, and he's been knocking down 3 balls too, and he is such an elite defender. Such an elite defender. I also need to look at what's Mike Scott's situation. Brett Brown did not speak on it. He said he doesn't know yet. He hasn't heard any information on him yet. Joel Embiid. Is he going to be iffy every single game time decision, every single game? Or is he going to be able to perform like he did in Game 5 against the Brooklyn Nets? Obviously, that is a monstrous issue if he can't play. We need him to be able to go at an effective pace. Because without a Joel Embiid, we're doomed. And there's no denying that. And our backup center role, Boban might not be able to go. You can't expect much out of Boban. He's too slow, and this matchup isn't going to favor him. You're going to have to take a look at Jonah Bolden. This all comes down on Brett Brown, though. He's going to have to see. He's going to throw out Boban. If Boban doesn't click, if Boban doesn't work, he's going to have to put out Jonah Bolden. If he doesn't work, then we're really screwed, and we're rocking with either Mike Scott at the 5 if he's healthy, and we're going to go a small lineup, or we're going to have to throw Greg Monroe in there. But this all comes down to Brett Brown and how it's going to go, game in and game out. There's going to be so many different looks, so many different rotations. How about Jimmy Butler? Jimmy Butler being the ball handler instead of having TJ McConnell out there. I would expect that to continue to happen. But once again, you're going up against another team that is just as solid as you. This is not the Brooklyn Nets. This is now the playoff series beginning. And I want to know in the comments section how you feel about this series. Do you think we can get it done? Do you really believe, after beating the Brooklyn Nets, keep in mind the Nets are not the Toronto Raptors, do you think that we can get the job done? Now, like I said, you can take positives out of that series. From Brett Brown to Ben Simmons being dominant to the team coming together to Jimmy Butler having his playoff mentality in there and his passion that he brings to this team, to Joel Embiid, to Tobias Harris getting out of that slump. That slump was so hideous and hard to watch, and we had to get him out of there. To J.J. Redick knocking down shots. And realistically, did he even do that bad defensively once we figure things out? He was he was defending who? Joe Harris? How did he do? Now, he missed wide open shots on top of it, but J.J. Redick was defending him. After he got targeted so heavily early on, he did somewhat of a decent job there defensively. So you can take positives out of it. But keep in mind, what we're going up against is another team that is structured with very, very deep talent and a top-tier elite star in Kawhi Leonard. What do they have head coach-wise? Well, listen, you don't know right now what he is. They're trying to figure it out just like we are. This isn't a team that's the Golden State Warriors, right? This is a beatable basketball team. If we were going up against the Golden State Warriors, we'd sit there and be like, okay, well, we don't know. I mean, we just got to go out there and play and see what happens. Go out, have fun, battle, and we'll see what happens. Now, this is a beatable squad. This isn't a team that's been put together and has a lot of success together throughout the years. No. This is the team that traded DeMar DeRozan, kicked out their coach after he won Coach of the Year, brings in Kawhi Leonard, and they're just as raw when it comes to playing together as the Sixers. Not just as, because of the fact that our starters only have very limited amount of games, but this team just was thrown together too this year. They're not just some unstoppable juggernaut. The Sixers can get this job done. And as we move on here and obviously talk about this topic throughout the week until Saturday, I could change. I can move back and forth on how I feel depending on some news that we hear or some storylines there. But as of right now, I think it is a coin flip, and that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing at all. That means the Sixers have a good chance to win the series, just like the Raptors do. That's what happens when you get this deep into the playoffs. You have two really great teams facing off, and I really am super pumped for it. So let me know your thoughts down below on this. Thank you so much for watching. Go Sixers.